Call your dad and see if you can stay for dinner again. Inside, Phoebe called, Mom? She walked through the house, looking in each room. That's it, Phoebe said. I'm going to search for clues. Clues of evidence that the lunatic has been here and dragged my mother off. I wanted to tell her that she was just fishing in the air and that probably her mother had not been kidnapped, but I knew that Phoebe didn't want to hear it. When my mother did not return, I imagined all sorts of things. Maybe she had cancer and didn't want to tell us and was hiding in Idaho. Maybe she got knocked on the head and had amnesia and was wandering around Lewiston, not knowing who she really was or thinking she was somebody else. My father said, she doesn't have cancer, so she does not have amnesia. Those are fishes in the air. But I didn't believe him. Maybe he was trying to protect her, or me. Phoebe prowled through the house, examining the walls and carpet, searching for bloodstains. She found several suspicious spots and unidentifiable hair strands. Phoebe marked the spots with pieces of adhesive tape and collected the hairs in an envelope. Prudence was in a lather when she came home. I made it, she said. I made it. She was jumping all about. I made cheerleading. When Phoebe reminded her that her mother had been kidnapped, Prudence said, Oh, Phoebe, Mom wasn't kidnapped. She stopped jumping and looked around the kitchen. So, what are we supposed to have for dinner? Phoebe rummaged around in the cupboards. Prudence opened the freezer compartment and said, Look at this. For a terrible moment, I thought she had found some chopped up body parts in there. Maybe, just maybe, Phoebe was right. Maybe a lunatic had done away with her mother. I couldn't look. I could hear Prudence moving things in the freezer. At least she wasn't screaming. There were no body parts in the freezer. Instead, stacked neatly were plastic containers, each with a note attached. Brock, Len, Cass, 3:50, 1 hour, Prudence read, and Mac, Chi, 3:25, 45 minutes, and on and on and on. What's Brock, Len, Cass? I said. Phoebe pried open the lid. Inside was a green and yellow hardened mass. Broccoli and lentil casserole, she said. When their father came home and was surprised to see dinner on the table, Prudence showed him the freezer contents. He said. At dinner, we all ate quietly. I don't suppose you've heard anything from Mom, Prudence asked her father. Not yet, he said. I think we should call the police, Phoebe said. Phoebe. I am serious. I found some suspicious spots. Phoebe pointed toward 2 adhesive-taped areas beneath the dining room table. What's that tape doing down there? He asked. Phoebe explained about the potential blood spots. Blood? Prudence said. She stopped eating. Phoebe pulled out the envelope and emptied the hair strands on the table. Strange hairs, Phoebe explained. Prudence said, Ugh. Mr. Winterbottom tapped his fork against his knife. Then he stood up, took Phoebe's arm, and said, Follow me. He went to the refrigerator, opened the freezer compartment, and indicated the plastic containers. If your mother had been kidnapped by a lunatic, would she have had time to prepare all these meals? Would she have been able to say, excuse me, Mr. Lunatic, while I prepare 10 or 20 meals for my family to eat while I'm kidnapped? You don't care, Phoebe said. Nobody cares. Everyone has his own idiot agenda. I left shortly after dinner. Mr. Winterbottom was in his study, phoning his wife's friends to see if they had any idea where she might have gone. At least, Phoebe said to me, he's doing something. But I still think we should call the police. As I left Phoebe's, the dead leaf, crackly voice of Margaret Cadaver called to me from her house next door. Sal, do you want to come in? Your father's here. We're having dessert. Join us. My father appeared behind her. Come on, Sal, he said. Don't be a goose. I'm not a goose, I said. I already had dessert, and I'm going home to work on my English report. My father turned to Margaret. I'd better go with her. Sorry. Margaret didn't say anything. She just stood there as my father retrieved his jacket and joined me. I knew it was mean, but I felt as if I'd won a little victory over Margaret Cadaver. On the way home, when Dad asked if Phoebe's mother had come back yet, I said, no, Phoebe thinks a lunatic carried her off. A lunatic? Isn't that a little bit far-fetched? That's what I thought at first, but you never know, do you? I mean, it could happen. There could actually be a lunatic who Sal was going to explain about the nervous young man and the mysterious messages, but my father had called me a goose, and instead I said, how do you know that someone, not exactly a lunatic, but just someone, didn't make Mom go to Idaho? Maybe it was blackmail. Sal, your mother went because she wanted to go. You should have stopped her. A person isn't a bird. You can't cage a person. She shouldn't have gone. If she hadn't gone, Sal, I'm sure she intended to come back. We had reached her house, but we didn't go in. We sat on the porch steps. Dad said, you can't predict. A person can't foresee. You never know. He looked away, and I felt miserable right along with him. I apologized for being ornery and for upsetting him. He put his arm around me, and we sat there together on the porch, two people being completely pitiful and lost. Hi, that was perfect timing. I'm just taping a read aloud for my students tomorrow, so yeah, come on in. Kids, that is a sign that it is time for me to go home. It is 6:01, as you can see behind me. It's dark outside, so I hope you're being really good for the sub and make me proud. I want not a good report when I come back, but an excellent report. I know you can do it. Bye.